He's going to keep them nice and short and simple and sweet. Hi. Hello. So I'm just going to do a quick major minor chord. I know right off the bat, I got like 3 cards missing from this deck. I just let them go, and when they come back, they meant to come back. The Knight of Swords is one of them. I know that for sure. Don't know who the others are. But like in the Energy Oracle, the man holding a heart was gone for a good minute. All these majors at the bottom. Are these still majored up? I think so. Nice. So this will be a little quicker than I thought it would be. Yeah, these are still all majored up. No, wait. The Emperor. Okay. I think I might be missing the Ace of Swords. 2. No, there's the Ace of Swords. Never mind. Just make sure all of these are here. Yep, okay. I was like, is that a... No, it's not. 8 of Cups, the Emperor, and the Ace of Swords. Sometimes you gotta know when to walk away. That's the end of the song. Alright, y'all. Let's just try to get right into this. How's everyone doing? Uranus is about to go retrograde like tomorrow or tonight. I don't know the exact time. People have been saying the 15th. And it's like 10 degrees, so that's like a degree and a half away, or like 2 degrees away from my second house cusp. Hold up, wait. No. I'm a Taurus rising. That's like 2 degrees from my first house cusp. Yeah, I knew it was in my first house. No, I thought it was in my second house for some reason. My second house cusp is Gemini. I got Gemini on the 2 and the 3. No, I got Cancer twice. Cancer is 3 and 4. Gemini is 2. So yeah, Uranus is like retrograding basically on my ascendant. So I'm going through my own, I guess, little personal, not tower moment. It honestly feels, I mean, I guess they could be considered towers if I approached them like towers. But it more honestly just feels like little changes, little things that it's like a long time coming type thing. Yeah, these ain't shuffling. No, that's fine. We'll give it a cut right there. And then if it goes back far enough, it'll transit back into my 12th house, which would be very interesting because it's like, what goes on there? Who knows? Because, yeah, I'm a Taurus rising. Uranus is in Taurus. Like I said, it's like right on my ascendant. So it's like, I think around the first time I got conjuncted by Uranus on the ascendant, I got my hair braided for like the first time in my life. I want to get my hair braided again, actually. Okay. Oops. Oh, I just saw the Wheel of Fortune trying to come off. Who that? Oh, the Magician. It's time to put that magic to work. It's time to make things happy. Happy. Okay. We'll do one of these. And one of these. I don't know what that does. And now let's get the minors. What else is happening in the sky right now? Jupiter is like 18 degrees Capricorn. I'm like, oh my gosh. I got placements at 20 degrees. I'm like, how far back is Pluto gonna go? I think I looked at it and Pluto's not gonna go back 20 full degrees. Or it's not gonna go back like 5 full degrees. So my little Capricorn placements are safe. Not gonna get hit by Pluto twice, thankfully. Jupiter is gonna hit them a few times, but that's fine because Jupiter is like, expansion and stuff. But one of those placements for me is Uranus. So, you know, maybe that's another thing that's been encouraging me to not really revisit stuff for me personally. It's just been like to clean up um, some self stuff, you know. I don't know. But, I guess it'll be different for all of us. Who is that? The Five of Wands, the Five of Swords, and the Six of Swords. So two fives. No, that's the seven. The five, the seven, and then the six. Five of Wands could be sort of contention. And when things get this contentious, it may be hard to focus on what it is that you need to focus on. And just like in this Seven of Swords, like she has one of the swords behind her back. There we go. She got a sword back there. I feel like when things are this chaotic, it's easy to miss stuff. And we got a moon up there at the same time. And so it's almost like it's not necessarily hiding in plain sight. Oh my gosh. So I was drawn to her hand to see what kind of like sort of hand sign she was doing in there. You see that? And it's like she's almost like beckoning someone to come closer. Like, oh yeah, come here, come here. Like, come, come. But then she got that she got the sword and like, oh my gosh. So there could be a false sense of peace here. But any peace that we need comes from within. Um, if we're trying to seek peace in someone else, then we're already kind of sort of deceiving and tricking ourselves. Um, it's something that we need to do for ourselves with that Six of Swords. And another energy with the Six of Swords is that ferryman. It's the person who typically drives it. Because in a lot of decks, it's somebody being carried. And so it's trusting in the flow of, or trusting the universe's ability, God's ability, Spirit's ability, your angels, your teams, your guides' ability to have enough foresight and insight that if they're navigating you in a certain direction, it's probably for your betterment. And sometimes we're not, or we feel like we're not being taken in the direction that we'll like, and so we kind of sort of try to ignore it and find another way around it. And then when we try to find that other way around it, I feel like that's when we encounter that Seven of Swords energy, where someone or something can entice us away, and then, they got that sword waiting for us as soon as we get close enough. Okay, we'll just start here. So let's go. We'll start with the major, actually. So we have the Lovers. Oh my gosh. Bottom of the deck, because I'm curious, is the Moon. The Lovers with the Moon at the bottom of the deck, this is to me unforeseen consequences, unforeseen circumstances. Now, an unforeseen consequence doesn't necessarily have to be bad. This could be because the tree is back here that's already full grown. We have mountains back here, and then the flamingos up front. Pink is the color of the heart. Green is another color associated with the heart. And then we have this deep indigo running. That's the third eye. There's also kind of sort of a 44 here. Also an 88. But they're like mirrored. This card is symmetrical. Everything is mirrored. We get in what we put out. And so what have we been putting in? I think this is also about making choices that don't necessarily... It's like we make the choice that would surprise everyone. I think I've said it before. I don't remember where. But it's like it's like one of those horse races. And then there's a horse that everyone is betting against because they usually perform so poorly. And for some reason, that day, you feel like you want to put your money on that horse. Now, if you trust your instinct to go that way, you'll find success. But if you go the way that everyone else is going, if you go the way that everyone else is going, you won't get the success that you may have thought you would. And if you look at this, there's this long road with a tree at the end. This energy is about going our own path and going in our own direction. These flamingos are on this road, but they're not going to take it. They're going to fly. So something also about the roads that have been paved not being paved for um, us, basically, because we don't have to walk roads. We can fly if we so choose. And when you fly, then it's like we don't necessarily need the same beaten paths. Also, when you fly, you get a different vantage point, and that's the thing about birds. Because like fish, okay, let's not go too crazy. The thing about birds is they can have both perspectives, the one on the ground and the one above the ground. And so with the moon card at the bottom, there may also be a need to take a sort of higher perspective. We see, I don't know if these are like tents or like fires. Oh no, they're fires. These are like two braziers. There's a woman here, butt naked, on this iceberg, and this iceberg reminds me of the Fool. So also, it could have been us in a space where we were afraid to take a leap of action. Again, maybe because it was a path that others had advised us against, but again, it's like the way that they get to their tree is not going to be the same way that we get to our tree. And maybe we're heading down a path that led them to a mountain that they couldn't scale or climb. But again, that's not, and intuitively you would know. But again, like I just feel like she's too afraid of what lies beyond, what lies in the darkness. Whereas the Fool, so now we're going to look and see what's around the Fool. Whereas the Fool would just take that leap. Let's see, where the Fool at? Where the Fool at? Oh snap! Oh snap! Oh snap! So the Fool is between the Star and Justice, and so like here you see that kind of sort of that same, oops, pillory iceberg shape. But on one hand it's daytime, so she's gonna leap, and on the other hand it's nighttime, so she's not gonna leap. But what's interesting is that there's basically darkness on both sides. Under the iceberg, it's all dark. So the difference is, I mean, just you, honestly. I feel like the star here is hope. Or not hope, the star here is faith. And then the emperor here is that action. And it's like, that's the thing about the Fool. Is they have the faith that when they take that leap, they'll be okay. It's like they have the faith that they wouldn't be guided to the edge of this and told to jump if they weren't going to be all right. Right? But depending on who you give your trust and your faith to, you could have a friend or somebody in your life who wants to see you hurt, harm, or injured because maybe it's a thing that y'all do and then you record it and you laugh about it, right? But again, this is something about the choices that we've made kind of sort of playing off or playing out in unexpected ways. And this could, again, it could be ways that are much better than we initially thought or expected. So the major we have is the Ace of Wands, bottom of the deck, or bottom of the stack. Over here is the King of Wands. I feel like the King of Wands at the bottom with the Ace up top, again, related to this moon, it's about now forging your own path. Because the Lovers, again, I'm feeling more choices than anything with this Lovers card. And those choices being mirrored. And if your choices are mirrored to you, then you're making the self-honoring choices that leave you feeling honored and fulfilled. You make those choices to better yourself, and so you find yourself better. You make those choices to love yourself, and so you find yourself loved. You make those choices to go after what you want, regardless of how scary it is, and then you find yourself in a space of having it. And again, it's almost like there's another mirror energy here. So if all of this is kind of sort of mirrored energy, well, I guess at the bottom of the deck it could be an Eight of Swords. I'm feeling maybe like a Four of Wands, maybe an Eight of Cups, a Six of Swords. Or like a Two of Pentacles. It could be a Two of Pentacles. Because what we get in is what we put out. And so it's make sure you're putting in the right stuff. Also, with this Ace of Wands here, it's giving me the energy of like spirit is they're matching whatever we put into it, right? So it's like if you have a because it was I've been looking at jobs and some of them have like a 401k where they match to a certain percentage, and there was one I guess they do a 100% match or whatever. Because I saw one that didn't have a limit, and then I saw another one that did. And but again, it's like the work that we've put into ourselves will be matched, and it's always been that way. But there's something about spirit really collaborate because I've never necessarily seen all of these lights or whatever is behind this, but it's like they're all converging on the middle of the top of this wand, like right here. If I can get it in there. Oh goodness, that's super close. Can y'all see those little? Yeah, you can see it. Those lines coming out. I feel like that's it. It's an energy of convergence. And so now it's like the wheel, the angel has been pouring in the background. It's like the angel has been greasing Temperance. It's like Temperance has been greasing the wheel of fortune to loosen it up a little bit. And everything that we've done while it was stuck and everything that we continue to do will soon be reflected back onto us. And that'll be all these blessings that come in and stuff like that. But now it's about making sure we're in position and making sure we're in alignment to receive it. The Eight of Pentacles. Okay. So, well, what's the bottom of the deck? The Five of Cups. All right, that makes sense. I was like, it'll probably be like the Eight of Swords. I forgot about the Five of Cups. Because again, it's like all of this unknown stuff at the bottom of the deck. It's all of this, like, someone else told me to do it that way. Because here's the moon up here, and here's the sun kind of sort of behind this King of Wands, but the sun in this deck it's setting. And then the Knight of Wands is right behind the King of Wands. And so it's like the sun, and then there's the King of Swords. Shout out to him because he's been following me. Also, the Devil card's been around. I figured out that the reason why I keep seeing the Devil card is because I've had attachments to things that served at one point to get me to grow and elevate to that point, but to continue to hold them would be to slow me down. And then here's the King of Swords. That was, I guess, he kept coming out to try to get me to see it or cut it or whatever. Anyway, it's like the sun is setting on the king but rising on the knight. And so it's interesting that there's no prince in this deck. Because there's a princess instead of, excuse me, instead of pages, there's princesses. But this, it's something that we got to put in to claim this. It's like all this Five of Cups. And again, we see, oops, well, there's the Two of Cups behind the Five of Cups. We see the sun setting like below the horizon over here with this one. Oh, y'all can't see it. There's another setting sign. And so I feel like we've become fairly well established operating in the dark. It's like our eyes have adjusted to the dark and we don't know if we want the lights to turn back on because our eyes will hurt for like that moment or whatever. I feel like if you've been working diligently and continuing to make these self-honoring choices, even when you weren't getting an immediate payback or immediate payoff, you're going to be rewarded for it here coming up. And the rewards that we already have, even if we don't have a physical reward for this, the rewards that we already have from all of the work that we've done is the experience, is the knowledge, is the wisdom, is being closer and closer and closer to a space of loving ourselves. And loving ourselves to the point where the opinions of others don't necessarily bother or affect us anymore. Because it's like nobody really knows what they're doing. I feel like we know what has been working for us, and we can kind of sort of look on the outside and see what works for other people and then try to adapt or tailor that to our own situations. But we're all just doing the best that we can in each moment. Some of us make more self-honoring decisions than others. Some of us make decisions more related to what has been working than others. But a lot of things are shifting right now, and a lot of things are in the process of change. Some things may be trading hands, and so the way to find success in the past may not necessarily be the way to find success in the future. And now with, everything kind of sort of coming to the light, give me one moment, because this, oh my gosh, this is so annoying. I had ditched this little ball of mucus that would randomly pop up or phlegm in the back of my throat when I would pull cards for a hot minute, but now it's back. And I'm just like, that's gross. It literally only does that when I come on. But it's fine. This is an energy that's been ahead of the game as well. It's like it's already prepared for what's coming because, again, it's been practicing. Even before the time had come. And I'm looking at this. I'm looking at what she's working on now. And it's giving me like Wi-Fi bars or like signal bars. And there's 5 here. I've only seen, on my phone it has 3 for Wi-Fi. I think for Wi-Fi it's just the standard 3. And the 3 is actually 2 because, is it? Hold on, let me look at my phone real quick. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, it is only 2, technically, because the first one is just the point. So, let's see, where is it? That's there it is. That's what I'm talking about. Now it's super blurry. Anyway, that's what I'm talking about, but it's like she has 5 here. And that's what she's working on now. So it's like you're on that frequency, you're on that band, you're on that wavelength before it even becomes sort of widely available. But everyone's had access to it. Anyway, I feel like I'm kind of sort of repeating myself now. But again, what you've been putting in will come out. I feel like temperance has been greasing the wheel of fortune through your actions. So like you've kind of sort of been greasing the wheel or giving the grease too. And it's like you're doing all the work to fill the grease, the oiling can, if we're talking about the Tin Man. You've been doing the work on this side to fill the oiling can that Temperance is using to grease the Tin Man wheel. And Temperance can't grease the wheel if you're not giving Temperance any grease. And so that's sort of the connection between the work that we do and divine timing behind the scenes, and how they're like, the more we do up front, the more it has to work with on the back end. And it's almost like we're standing at the edge of the world and there's nothing there. But here shortly, it's like, it almost feels like it's gonna like just materialize in front of your eyes. It's like you go to a wall and you're standing at this wall. It's like a cloth with a brick wall pattern on it and texture, because if you feel it, it would feel like a brick wall. But it's like one of these days that cloth is just going to fall and you're going to realize that there was something on the other side of it. And so maybe with this 8 of Pentacles, again, you feel like you've been banging your head on a brick wall, getting nowhere, or that you've been putting in all this work and not really being validated on the outside. And I already talked about, if you seek validation on the external, you're doing it not wrong, but the sun is still setting over here, or about to rise over here, depending on which energy you're in, right? Because I feel like the King of Wands is like, oh, I know how the game works. I done been around the block. I done doing this since before you was born and blah, blah, blah. And then the Knight of Wands is, I feel like he was under his father's sort of eye and direction for a long time. But it's like, you know, when the Knight of Wands goes off to college and his mind expands and he meets more people, then he's like, it's like something about the way you do things ain't right, old man. And when I become king, I'm going to do it differently. And I don't think the King of Wands like that, honestly. Maybe somebody's like, has been in the space of being a Knight of Wands, but they haven't told the king yet. And so maybe they're waiting until they inherit the throne to then just be like, okay, so we're going to redo this whole thing. Because honestly, the way it was going down before, it wasn't working. Anyway, either way, I feel like I'm making this unnecessarily long. And I'm going to pull one energy oracle card, hopefully, to clarify this zip. Because I'm loving these. And then we'll end it off. I'm going to see what this is about. I don't even know what to title this one. Oh, yeah, your work has not been, like, you've not been working in vain. What you've done in the dark will come to the light. But this is like working under the cover of the night. Like burning the midnight oil, putting in, making sure these masterpieces are perfect. And it's like you've had all of these attempts that were similar, but it's like they get you closer and closer and closer to what it is you'll end up with. I love how the Eight of Pentacles is like almost always an artisan. But I mean, I guess it makes sense for the energy, right? But I guess, but it's like, you know, you don't have like somebody like a little page in night school learning to be a knight or whatever. It could be the same energy, but it's usually about the craftsmanship and something about the integrity of an artist who, even if you sell out up front, and even if you make the songs that your label wants you to make because, you know, they're trending and they're hot, but it's still having that, like, that one song, those two songs, those three songs maybe even, that you still work on and that you do. I just watched somebody like rag on old Disney Channel movies, and it brings to mind that one movie with the pop star and the girl that found his phone. I can't remember what it's called. But he was like, this is the music I want to do. It also brings to mind that one episode of Black Mirror with Miley Cyrus in it. I guess, therefore, ergo, it could also bring to mind the conservatorship for Britney Spears, Free Britney. And just like, if you look at her situation, and if you take, I mean, you don't even have to take the family out of it, really, but that's kind of sort of like our whole environment. And that's the moon on the bottom, that's that King of Wands on the bottom. It's like, do it this way, do this, do that. And the systems don't really care how happy we are. They don't really care about our happiness. They only care about our productivity, really. A lot of them. Not all of them, because there are some, especially some business models, some companies that are beginning to run to the point where, like, you know, when people enjoy working in your place, they do better work. When people are happy, they do better work. When people aren't drained and stressed, like, we perform better. But for a lot of people, it's just about sort of what they can get out of you. Just like oil, they'll wring you dry. But this is about you doing things to oil your own wheel and get, you know, what you want to move forward moving. Okay. Alright, so can I get a card, please? Okay. Like 2 at the most. Guess I'm taking them. I do want to note this one. The sun. There is the sun. Do do do. Bottom of the deck is the door to personal healing and happiness. The door to personal healing and happiness. This is interesting because here's another door right here. And I kind of sort of want to do a doors reading where I just look at all the doors in this deck and see what comes out. Door to personal healing and happiness. Personal healing. Personal happiness, and not what, you know, the system tells you to be happy with. And then we have that rising sun that's coming up around the bend. And also, I guess it could be a rising sun in this card too. Honestly, in this card, I feel like the sun is rising and setting, and it kind of sort of calls back to that the mirroredness, the flip side of it. And so, if you've been carrying an internal torch that's kept your sky lit at night while the sun sets, or while you've been in this moon phase, I feel like either the sun up here or the moon down here is kind of sort of state of mind. And then again, here we see those two lights, but one moon. But it's like I'm seeing like one sun set, and as one sun is setting, another is immediately rising. Instead of this going into a moon phase, or it's like, yeah, one is setting and one is rising, and so that's why we have sunset, but it's also sunrise. The door to romance, second chakra archangel Ariel, and third chakra archangel Hamuel. Archamuel. So we have the second and the third, the solar and the sacral, and the solar. This is a 36 into a 37, a 9 into a 10, and then we have a 33 here. So I guess with the door to romance, it didn't come out between them. But the romance between the sacral and the solar plexus, here's another sun, and then here's the sun. What was the bottom of the deck again? The door to personal healing and happiness. So yeah, I feel like with the solar plexus, it's like what I was kind of sort of saying here, the sun that we sort of keep in our own life, and the way that that shines, it's now coating the sun that's going to be coming across. I feel like a lot of things have been held up in ways that we can't necessarily control. All we can control, or all we could control, was the way that we show up in the energy, and the way that we show up in the world, and the way that we show up in the environment. And it's almost like that's really going to be reflected here in these coming days, kind of sort of for everybody, right? It's, I don't know, I just saw like, it's almost like the Wheel of Fortune caught a snag. And so it's like it caught the snag back here. And it's reaching that point where there's a lot of tension on the wheel. And so I said the archangel, I said the temperance has been greasing the wheel through our actions, and through our actions combined with that of the divine, which is divine action, it's inspired action, it's alignment, it's doing the things that we feel led to do in that moment. It's like that's taking whatever is catching the wheel off before it makes the wheel like spin backwards. Because that's how it just came to me. It's like the wheel is, something is caught on the wheel, and it's reaching that point where we've like, there's no elasticity left in whatever caught the wheel, and it's about to snap it back and get it spinning in reverse if we didn't unhook whatever's been caught on it. And with the door to romance, I feel like it could be related to the area of interpersonal relationships, where it's like, if it lined up, and then here's the healer of the ages behind the door to personal healing and happiness. I feel like this is us aligning, and then behind this is storm warning. So, you know, if you was getting nudged to do some things, it was probably best that you do it, because it's like the divine got ways of letting us know when things are about to go south. And sometimes it ain't like, hey, this is about to fall apart. Sometimes it's more like, hey, why don't you go do this over there instead? And you're like, but I like being over here. And it's like, well, you know, yeah, you like being over there, but what about this? And you're like, I think I'm going to stick over here. And it's like, okay, then boom, tower. Anyway, again, it's like, I feel like this is kind of sort of alignment. The divine wanted you to heal. The divine was in support of healing. The divine was bringing all of these things to our attention on so many levels. But at the end of the day, we had to take it upon ourselves to accept this energy, to accept the assistance and do that healing on us. And to come to create this happiness that it's like joy that surpasses all understanding type energy. Because we know that it's coming, because we know that the door is open. Sometimes you may get a little bit impatient and wanted to, hurry up and make it through to the other side so I can whatever. But it's about continuing to do the work and not getting stuck along the way. I love that he's sitting right behind this because it's honestly feeling like this energy opened the door to personal healing and happiness, but we had to step through it. And so if you've been waiting, or if we've been waiting for something to come from the other side into our world, we did it wrong. Or not wrong, we did it the harder way. If we step through the door to personal healing and happiness, then we did it in a way that kind of sort of puts us, and then this is a 34, and then we have the 33 right here. Well, anyway, we put ourselves in the position to interact with it instead of waiting for it to interact with us. And there are so many ways to get through the door. And I feel like even when you're in the door, it doesn't, at least for me personally, me being in the door, finding my way to the door, hasn't meant completely shutting myself off from everything that's happening in the world. It's meant finding the light in spite of it. This is a 6. This is a 7. Oh, wow. 6 into 7. And then here's another 6 in the 33. And then there's a 9 and then a 10. What's the sun? The sun is 1 in this deck, yeah. Storm warning is 10. So I like that. But what was I saying about these doors? Either you've taken the door to personal healing and happiness, or you tried to sort of take this door to romance. And if your romance didn't include personal healing and happiness, it's going to be tainted. Because there's an element of the self that needs to be present even when you're with someone else. This is how I was feeling it, though. Wait, how was I? I was going somewhere. Too many trains came in. I kind of sort of lost them. But it's like, yeah. This sun is related to this sun. And then the door to personal healing and happiness is related to this second chakra, the sacral. Because then that's, healing the self. And the sacral can also, the sacral is kind of sort of responsible for, more so than others, a certain sector and realm of that. And then this will go with this. There's the man holding a heart with storm warning. Because I was like, well, then what goes with storm warning? Because now storm warning's all alone. And the man holding a heart, I guess, is sitting behind the sun. But it's like you go for the sun first. And then the man will find you. But anyway, so it's like this energy on the inside, Archangel Camuel has been trying to get us to come into our authenticity and to come into ourselves, so that on the outside it reflects in a way that shines, that we actually want. Because I feel like a lot of us, we kind of sort of put on facades, and so we attract things from this false space. And here's another 9 where we have a 36-9. But yeah, it's like if you're wearing a facade, if you're wearing a mask, then what you're attracting is also probably facading and masking, or you're going to find out it's different on the inside. And so, yeah, this is the alignment between the inside and the outside. And I feel like Over here, Archangel Ariel has been trying to get us to heal these things within the self, get more self love, make those self honoring choices, and then it's going to open up on the outside so it'll be reflected or able to come in. And again, it's this mirrored energy. So it's like to welcome anything inside, you have to go outside. You can't just sit on the inside and wait for something to come in. You got to do something, and that's also the solar. The solar is about doing something. The sacral is about having the vision, creating the vision. This is about realizing this vision, and that's sort of the harmonics that plays in between these angels. But it's not just acting out on anything. Again, it's about doing that, receiving that healing. It's like I feel like you don't have to be a woman to have a womb. To have a biological and physical one, yeah, sure. But to have an energetic womb, you don't have to be a woman. And this second chakra Archangel Ariel was coming in to try to clean up our womb, the space that we create from. It could be the heart. Everyone has one of those, supposedly. Anyway, I'm sorry. That was unnecessary. Anyway, it's about cleaning out and clearing out that space before this door to romance again even opens on the outside. But again, it's because we're always sort of shining our light. And that's what I got for all of this. I don't think there's any guidance here because I don't think there really needs to be. You know, it's something that I like to do, and I feel like it's something that is helpful. It's like, well, what do I do with all of this? Um, you use it. And it's going to come differently for everybody. So if you've been doing the work, you haven't been doing it in vain. Maybe that's why I'll title this. If you've been doing the work and not seeing results, you haven't been doing it in vain. And sometimes if we are primarily focused on the outside, it may seem like that or it may feel like that, but that's not the case. And it's reassuring. Every time I hear that, I feel reassured because I'm like, it's just good to hear, like I know within myself, I know how it's working for me. And so I don't really need too much on the external, especially now. It's like I've been in this fairly cushy position, or cushioned position. Nothing too extreme has rocked my world. Even though I feel like on the outside, it may seem that I don't really have a lot coming in. It's like I kind of sort of started with everything I need in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And I've been taken care of. Which is good because now it's like I know I definitely need to start doing stuff. So that's what I'm actually going to go do now. I hope everyone has a good whatever whenever you see this. And I hope you're acting in alignment to get whatever it is that you desire. Bye.